Brendan, if we could just start, there's been a situation, obviously a lot of comments made about your post-match comments at the weekend. How do you reflect on the situation and what was said?
Yeah, I'm obviously, and I will address it because I've been obviously aware of it. I think obviously sadly for me, I think in society now, we're either looking to offend or find something that is offensive to try and pin on to people. I think you guys, since I've been up here, and I think any journalist or reporter or anyone in media, I've always based my life on relationships. So I've always offered a warmth, a respect, being courteous, and offering time to people, and that will never ever change. So obviously when there was that little bit that was out there, or big bit, however it was, then of course I feel the need to address that, because like I said, I deal with people in life, whether it's players, relationships with them. I want to help them become better. Like you say, people in the media. I've spoken to Jane, and she wasn't offended. We had a laugh about it. She'll continue to ask me awkward questions, I'm sure. And but I see her every week, and we've got good relations. Like I said, like I have with most people in my life, whether that's professional or social. And the irony of it is, it's funny actually, because I shared with players there not so long ago the story of Jessica Watson. It was a young woman at 16 years of age, travelled around the world solo on a boat, and the documentary I watched was really inspiring. True Spirit, it was called, and I actually shared that with the players in terms of the inspiration they could take from a young woman like that, what she'd been through, everything else. So I find it saddening as much as anything, because one, I'm not that type of person. I could never be that. It's not how I'm built. But also sadden me for the society now, because people are just looking and trying to find ways to somehow bring you down if they can. And yeah, it's not nice.
Just looking at the reaction to the weekend's game, how the players been. You've seen it at the full-time whistle. There seemed to be that fire, that sort of determination that they were going to motor on and kick on. How's the last couple of days been?
Yeah, well, listen, it was a very good win for us in the end, and that's what I say. I say in the end because the games, they're 90 plus minutes now, so we didn't start the game so well. We in the first half, in terms of, we get too many balls in behind down the sides, and that's not what our team is about. If we don't counter press it, then we should have that ability to stop those attacks, and we didn't do that. But really, it was about staying calm at half time and then just connecting our game again. And I thought second half, especially when Cameron come on, there was nothing went in behind, and then the two work really well together. That allows you to sustain the attacks then. So score some very good goals, and I think you see the unity in the team and how together they are. And it's another victory for us, very important win. And but now we get ready for our next game.
Alistair Johnson was just in. He mentioned that half-time seemed a bit crucial to him, and that people who had to speak spoke, and there was a general sense of, we just have to go out and play here. Don't overcomplicate it. Is that the sort of another message that has to be out there? That these players are talented. Just go do it. Don't overcomplicate.
Yeah, I think. Listen, it's what it always has to be. I think if you do overthink it, and I think it can be a part of the problem. You can think too much and think too far ahead, but yeah, it was just. It's great because the players taking that responsibility, which is great. That's what you want. You need that awareness and that responsibility, that the level hasn't been quite that. But what this group have been great at this year in particular is reacting, and we don't like to have to have to come from behind. But if you have to do it, then you have to do it. You will never have it all your own way. So the reaction for the players was superb. Again, the football, the level and the type of goals that we scored were very, very good. So we continue with that mentality.
Every game is a cup final now, isn't it? Just right on 2 days, or tomorrow now even. It's another huge match.
Yeah, and they're all big games. Like I say, we've got 11 games to go now. I think you have to really focus on one game at a time. And as the old cliche, but it really is that. Just focus on the performance, I think, as much as anything. Everyone wants to win and everyone wants to perform well. Before that, it's that belief. And I think you've seen that in this team and at the weekend, that belief that they can go and get the result, and thankfully we did do.
How's the squad looking injury-wise? Or suggestions that Mike Nawrocki might be injured?
Yeah. Again, he's picked up. He's felt his hamstring tight in the game, so that'll set him out. I don't think for too long, but it'll take him out for a period of time.
Is Cameron ready to come back in from the start, or is he maybe needing managed back into his minutes?
No, he need managing, but he's ready to start if we need be, and you see again the difference when he comes into the game at the weekend. He's a top operator, but we just have to be mindful of his minutes and his time.
There's been reports as well about Leila Bada and MLS sides interested in him. Is there any advance on that? Has there been anything you've heard?
No update on that. He's still in the same situation. It's difficult for him, but yeah, we'll see if there's a resolution to that.
I think it also said that there was maybe suggestions that he'd be looking to potentially wrap up his contract to move on. Is that something that the club have talked about or considered at all?
I haven't heard that, no.
How do you assess Dundee ahead of the game and the work that Tony Docherty has done this season at the club?
I think Tony's done great. That first time in, and I know we've played well in the 2 games against him, in particular the second game up there. But I think he's done fantastic. Got the team organised really well. So they've been flexible in the systems and how they've played. They started off with a back 5 and more recently sort of adapting between a back 4 and a back 5. But no, he's done very well. Got some very good players. So we again have to be at the top of our game to get a result.
There's been talk on social media about Kevin Tracy speaking about the work you've done with Adam Ida in training. Would you maybe want to elaborate on the one-to-one work that you've been doing with Ida?
Not really. Not really, no. It's our job. It's what we do. We train the players. We work with them. The coaches do a fantastic job. He's a very, very talented player. Really, the job of us as coaches and the managers to absolutely squeeze everything we can out of him. I said before he came in, he's got talent. There's no doubt about that, and we just try to maximise that talent. But you'd be here too long if we were to sit to talk about everything we do for the players.
How important was using the squad at the weekend and bringing players on for the bench and the impact they can make when you're maybe down in games?
Aye, it's very important. Especially when you get booed for taking off a defender and putting on an attacker. That seems strange, but I think the players, yeah, it is important. I think the game now going into 90 plus minutes, you're talking 95, 100 minute games now. So your bench is very, very important. So that ability to and having the depth to bring players on to make the impact was very, very important.
How does that make you feel when you get booed for a decision like that? But at the end of the game, do you win the game from behind?
For me, it doesn't really matter to me. It's more for the player coming on and for the team. I think that's it's a negative reaction which I don't quite understand. You're one each in the game. You take off a defensive midfield player, put on an attacking player who scored goals this season, and you get booed. So it just seems a little strange. But thankfully, the players' mentality on the pitch was superb. They kept going, they kept fighting, and all the great work that they did, especially in the second half in terms of tiring the opponent out, it led to the couple of goals at the end.
Is there an understanding or a need to understand, Brendan, just that from the stands there has to be that sense of calmness, that anxiety could feed and maybe has fed in the past onto the team and not allowed, what you guys want to do on the pitch?
I don't think it's not only for for Celtic, I think it's in general, it's in any club, you know, if that feeling rolls down off the stands onto the pitch and it's negative, then what do you expect? You'll get players that will have a nervousness, and so the game will look different. Whereas if they have that positive reaction and have that support, it's like in life, isn't it? You know, if you get that support and you get that feeling that people are behind you, everyone, then you'll have a greater chance to succeed.
Can I ask you about, obviously the last few weeks there's maybe been quite a few games where you've either played really well first half that's maybe dropped off, or vice versa. How is that? How do you deal with that as a manager? Do you maybe have to kind of think your team selections maybe a bit more differently than usual? You're looking at who had a good impact off the bench. Is it quite hard to get that 90-minute performance at that when it's like that, been like that for maybe for the last 5 games?
Yeah, no, to be fair, it's been like that for bits of the season. I think it's also recognising that it's not going to be the starting 11. You know, I see reports on people talking about don't know the best team and don't know the best structure. We know clearly what the structure is, and it's not about the best team. It's the team that finishes the game. You know, you play so many games, you're looking for an energy in the game that you can't possibly keep for 90 minutes unless you make those changes. So a specific game, we played 4-2-3-1 in a couple of games recently. I felt then we would play with the extra midfield player at the weekend, you know, to play against the line of five, to make runs, to get in behind. And then if we need to change the game, then we can do, and that's exactly what we did. So each game tactically is different. It's not about finding your best 11, because the best 11 normally won't finish the game, you know. So you have to adapt within the game. So, but there's no doubt that ruthless mentality you need to have, and we would want that for longer periods, of course. And we'll just continue to analyse and look at that to see where we can improve and be better. But by the end of the game, if we've won the game, then that's what's most important, as long as performing well.
Can I ask you about James Forrest? We've not really seen him much in recent weeks. Is he fit? Could he maybe contribute? Obviously you've tried a few different wingers in the starting 11 as well. Is he close to being involved at all?
Well, James is available, yeah. He's been training, been an amazing servant to this club, and I'm pretty sure over these final remainder games he may well have a part to play in it. You know, I think for me the thing is looking at the team. We need to have intensity. We need to have that relentless mentality, and but there's no doubt on his ability of that's never in question as a winger. I would say in terms of ability wise, he's the best one we have. There's no question. But how we ask the game to be played, the intensity, the consistent running, as you get older, then it becomes a challenge. But there's no doubt. I'm pretty sure there'll be a point over these next 11 games where he'll be required, and he's training so well and keeping himself ready. He's a top professional, looks after his body and himself every day, and if he's required to play, then he will do.